So I think it's the quality of non-fixing, how to be with something without fixing, because fixing always had a problem, and all the models of therapy that we have had until mindfulness came into the picture had a kind of there was a greater seduction to try to fix something. So, try to fix core conflicts in psychoanalysis, or try to fix dysfunctional thoughts in behaviorism, or cognitive therapy. But the problem is that what we resist persists. When we try to manipulate our moment-to-moment experience, it often persists, or it actually amplifies. So if I try not to be anxious, I might develop panic attacks. If I try not to have grief, I develop depression. Try not to fight my daughter about her lousy boyfriend. You got a lousy son-in-law, that kind of thing. But anyhow, what we resist persists, and there's always been this seduction in all these other models. I mean, ironically, Freud was very clear about psychoanalysis that we're actually should abandon our goals and just be with what it is, but most of us just never got the memo. Well, the memo really came with mindfulness. Mindfulness said, let's do this on purpose. Let's abandon the fix-it orientation or the seduction, and just really learn to be with difficult experience as it is, to accept moment-to-moment experience.
So give us an example of what you're talking about here, the difference between the therapeutic fix-it mentality, and dealing with the same kind of issue, the same kind of problem in a more mindful way.
Yeah, sure. Well, I can even use the example of my public speaking anxiety, if I may, So I had been struggling with public speaking anxiety for, decades, and I just tried again and again and again to not feel public speaking anxiety, and the more I tried, the longer it stuck. And there were some blessed moments when I could allow myself to be anxious, and those moments occurred usually in smaller groups with people whom I knew and so forth. But whenever I was doing something, large in a hall that everybody was kind of distant and slowly became a kind of the enemy, someone who was going to criticize me or something, then I would shut down because I actually could not accept the anxiety. So when I was able to accept the anxiety, or when somebody gets up on stage and says, no, I'm really anxious, but I'm also really great to be here, that's a moment of acceptance, and it usually makes things go much better.
Yeah.
So that's an example of how what we resist persists. But for me, the difficulty, and this is where self-compassion comes in, the difficulty was that at the end of the day, anxiety wasn't my problem, it was shame. My fear was that people would think that I'm fraudulent, or I'm incompetent, or I'm stupid, or something. And I just could not bear that possibility. My sense of self would just get so activated, and when that started happening, I just could not accept what arose from that impending shame, and that was the anxiety. So then the question was, how do I open to shame? How do you open to shame? So that's when I discovered self-compassion. So it fits under the same general model of not trying to manipulate moment-to-moment experience, but some emotions or mental states are just much, much harder to open to or to allow to come and go in a natural way.